This season, I'm watching a match at every round of the Champions League. Today, we've made it to the final qualifying round where both teams are playing for big money. So I'm getting on the Eurostar to travel underneath the English Channel and emerge in Lille on the French-Belgian border. We're watching Lille take on Slavia Prague for a spot in the all-new Champions League phase. Whoever wins also earns 17.87 million euros from UEFA. Under the current exchange rate, that equals £15,230,064, which is pretty big money. The furthest Lille have ever gotten is the round of 16 in the 21-22 season, where they lost to Chelsea. And given that Ligue 1's TV deal has collapsed in recent years, the prize money is really important for the club if they want to compete at this level. Slavia Prague last minute to the Champions League group stage in 2019, but they lost in a very difficult group. Now, according to salarysport.com, so take this with a massive grain of salt, Slavia's wage bill is around £22 million a year. So just getting to the league phase will almost cover that for the entire season. But they also have an arguably bigger motivation to qualify. Their city rivals, Sparta Prague, are also in the final qualifying round. So if Slavia can progress and Sparta don't, there are huge bragging rights available. But tonight I'm with the home fans, so I have to become a Lille fan for the day. It's also important to say that I am forever in debt to this guy whose username I cannot pronounce. But he has revealed to me that tonight's game is not in Lille because their stadium is being used for the Paralympics. Instead, it's almost 40 minutes away in Valenciennes, and genuinely, if I hadn't read his comment, I would have just rocked up at Lille Stadium tonight and wondered where everyone was. I'm sure it would have been hilarious for you guys, but it would have been a total waste of money for me. As it is, I've had to cancel my hotel in Lille and get a hotel which I'm in right now in Valenciennes, which by the way is a beautiful little town, but it is pouring with rain outside, so it's why I'm taking shelter in here rather than recording outside. This also explains why it was so easy to get a ticket, because it's quite difficult for the Lille fans to come to this game because there are no public transport options for after the match. So I actually bumped into a few Lille fans in my hotel, as a lot of them are staying overnight because there's just no way to get back easily. So I basically had my pick of the seats. I think if I remember correctly, we're on the halfway line, so we should get a pretty good view. Now, Valenciennes is about the same size as Braintree in the United Kingdom, which is about 40,000 people, which actually is a lot bigger than I thought Braintree was. So can someone please explain to me why this town has a 25,000 seater stadium? That's over half the town's population. And even more bizarre, Valenciennes is a third division club in France. Now, to be fair, they have been in Ligue 1 as recently as 2014, but surely the stadium is bigger and more expensive than they need. There is some terrific news though. I think tonight we should be hearing for the very first time the Champions League anthem. It does seem stupid to me that they don't play it in the first 3 qualifying rounds. They're still Champions League games, but finally tonight we will hear it. Before kick-off though, I got myself in the food queue where there was the usual French efficiency. But 20 minutes later I had my food and there was a translation issue because I had asked for a hot dog, but I was given this. Even after trying it, I don't know what this mystery meat is. It's a mystery to me. But the bread is a French baguette, so that's pretty good. But of course, how will it stack up to the food we've had at other places on our other trips? Well, you'll find out in the full review at the end of the video. Anyway, here is the view from my seat, and as you can see, playing this match in a different town at 9 PM at night, and there's no public transport back to Lille afterwards, has a huge impact on the attendance. But despite the small crowd, both sets of fans were making a lot of noise before the players even came onto the pitch. Then the moment I've been waiting for arrived. Here it is. The champions! I am taken aback by the atmosphere. Both sets of fans are completely on it. I did not realise how good the Lille fans were. I didn't have any expectations for them coming into the game, and they have blown my socks off. So imagine how good the atmosphere would have been if this game was actually in Lille and we had a packed out stadium. So whilst the atmosphere is good, what's happening on the pitch is not. We are 20 minutes in and it's been an absolute snooze fest so far. I don't quite know how the fans have the energy to keep going at this stage because it is so boring on the pitch. It's been all Lille so far. They've had most of the possession, but they just pass it around. They're not doing anything with it. We are about 30 minutes into the game now, and finally it's come alive. A few counter-attacks either way. Jonathan David put a shot just over the crossbar like 2 minutes ago, and then just a second ago, Lille had another great chance. Ball was sort of thread through into the penalty area. First shot saved by the keeper, pushed into the path of another Lille player who had next to an open goal, and yet he somehow put it over the crossbar. Lille are the ones knocking on the door more. If anyone's going to score, it's looking more like them. It's half-time. It's 0-0. Lille really should have had a goal or two. They've squandered some really big opportunities. The longer this game goes on, the more it plays into Slavia Prague's hands, I feel, and the more confidence they're going to get from it still being 0-0, and they'll think they can sneak a goal. They almost got one right at the end of the first half from quite a clever set piece. I will say though, it does seem like Lille tactically very versatile, happy to move around. Their number 22 seems to be playing at right back sometimes, then at right wing sometimes, then at left wing sometimes. I'm not quite sure what his actual position is, but he's all over the pitch in different roles. I thought about getting a Lille jersey at half-time, but even with the in-stadium discount, I'm not spending €89. Instead, I spent €4 on a Fanta, which, if you ask me, is still outrageously expensive for a small drink. I just hope we see some goals in the second half, otherwise I've come all the way to France for not much, really. So that didn't take long. It is 1-0 to Lille. I'll let the crowd tell you who scored. That's right, the Lille talisman, Jonathan David. Pretty well taken goal, close range, and that could be the straw that breaks the back in the camel of, I've said the thing wrong. Either way, I reckon now it's going to be easy for Lille to see this game out and maybe get a couple more goals. So you know what happened next. Slavia did just score, but apparently it was a handball in the process, so it's been ruled out. 70 minutes gone in the game now, still 1-0 to Lille. I'm just really impressed with how flexible all their players are tactically. They just keep moving around so much and they're not afraid to get forward. At times, I've seen their left back on the near side to me in the second half be the furthest man forward for them. It's really quite interesting to watch, actually. 2-0 Lille, was about 15 minutes to go here and the game looks pretty much wrapped up. I'll let the crowd tell you who scored it again. So Grover, maybe? I didn't really hear what they said, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, go and watch the highlights for this game. That was a beautiful goal, some lovely one-touch, and someone just scored. I think maybe Slavia Prague just scored, because I'm just down here out of the way filming myself, so I'm not disturbing people around me. I think they might have just scored, and it's been ruled for offside. Anyway, as I say, go and watch the highlights for this match. That second goal from Lille, absolutely beautiful. One-touch football, just neat little flicks and stuff, and it just broke free in the area for the guy who just scored a lovely goal. Really good stuff. Oh no, there is a goal check. And the check's over. There is no goal, apparently. It's still 2-0. And that's how the game ended. Lille in control and taking a 2-0 advantage into the second leg next week. To be honest, I can't see Slavia Prague making a comeback. But they did score twice tonight, although both were ruled out by VAR. So with a home crowd behind them, maybe they could mount a comeback. Luckily for me, my hotel is just around the corner, so I've walked back to it to start reviewing my trip. Let's start with the stadium. It was so similar to Ferencvaros's stadium that we were in last week. But you could tell this one was just a few years older. I would say the concourses felt really spacious, but that's probably because we were at about 50% capacity and there just weren't that many people there. So I'm going to give the stadium 3 stars. The atmosphere actually really caught me off guard. It was really good from both sets of fans who were on it for the full 90 minutes. Again though, the fact the game wasn't in Lille and the stadium was half empty meant it just didn't really feel like a coal in a fire like Ferencvaros was. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I was really impressed by both sets of fans. The food, it was okay. I still don't know what my mystery meat was, but it satisfied me. So along with the chips, which were pretty decent, 3 stars feels like a pretty fair score for the food. As for my enjoyment, I had a nice time, but to be honest, I think I was feeling a bit stressed from finding out very late that the match wasn't in Lille, having to plan what I was going to do instead, change the hotels. I just think I was a bit on edge, really. But also, it wasn't as enjoyable as the VIP experience in Budapest, and it wasn't as enjoyable as being caught up in all of the emotion in Gibraltar in the first qualifying round. So I think I'm going to go and give it 3 stars. That gives Lille a final score of 12.5, putting it 3rd in our rankings after 4 games with a very respectable score. But I think if the game had been in Lille, it could have been a little bit higher. So now we move on to the Champions League proper. Each team now plays 8 games in this new league phase format, so there's now going to be 8 game weeks in the Champions League between September and January. Now this series is all about going to 1 match at every round of the Champions League, but given there's quite a long time before the group stage starting, finishing, and then the knockout stages beginning, I think we have to go to a few games in the league phase. Although I won't be going to all 8 of the game weeks because that just will be a bit too expensive. That exceeds my budget a little bit. So it would be really helpful if you work for Heineken, PlayStation, Pepsi, FedEx, Follow Scores, Just Eat, or MasterCard. If you could reach out, or you could poke someone in your marketing department to reach out to me and talk about sponsoring a video or sorting out some match tickets, that would be very helpful for the longevity of this series. If you haven't seen the 3 other games that I've been to, I'm going to leave the playlist on screen right now for you to go and check those videos out. But if you have seen all of them, I'm going to leave a video on screen. That's a Football Manager video that I've made that I'm sure you will enjoy watching. Go give it a watch. I'm going to go and get into bed now, get some sleep and head back to the UK tomorrow. But in the meantime, I will see you in one of those videos.